Okay, so I want to start off this recording by telling you all I went through, I've been meaning to do this for a while. I'm trying to change the format a little bit for this course to make it a little bit more streamlined. And so if you'll notice, when you go into the modules, one of the first things you'll notice is that we used to have the one, almost a page. I guess this would be like an assignment, and then you have a listen, explore, apply, reflect. To make it a little bit more streamlined, we put it here in just one. There's one assignment for the introduction, listen, and explore. And then there is one submission. It's a discussion for the apply, network, and reflect. And if you were to look at these two, it would be like this first one is what we cover together when we have together Friday meetings. And then this one would be what you would do after the session is done. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. And then when you click into this intro, listen, and explore, I also tried to condense that text because it was spending a lot of time going over uh, different things that can be the message can be conveyed much quicker. And so I hope this is more beneficial for y'all. If you have any feedback, let me know. But basically, so we'll have our introduction here. Um, that's just a couple of sentences about what we're doing. And then in the listen section, this is formatted similarly in that I've got the slides here if you want to pop through the slides. And then there's the video summary from Notebook LM, and then the podcast here as well. And then because these slides that Notebook LM cooks up, they are not screen reader friendly. We talked about this last week, how these are just basically just images that are made. I went through for this one and plan to retroactively go back for any of the other ones to add an accessible slide text. This is an accordion dropdown. So if you're using a screen reader like this immersive reader, you'll see the text, and then in the listen section, you'll see the accessible slide text, and then everything that's on the slides is there, and you can kind of just go through it that way. If you need to use a screen reader or anything like that, and you can click it down and see what that says. So it's kind of like a little workaround to the fact that these slides are not accessible. Um, but I feel like that was the best that I could do, short of going through and redoing all these slides by hand, which I don't know if I have the time for that. So this would be something else for that. Does the slide have headings? It's the slide. Which slide? This slide? It should have headings. Yeah. Scenario, system alert, mission objectives, inventory check. Uh, and then um, we've got three links here. One is for each of these different articles, and that's kind of what I've curated to find like the best that could encapsulate these statements. And then the explore down here, it looks pretty the same, but I just changed the color a little bit just to help visually see, okay, this is something that I need to copy and paste. So we originally had the bar here, but then I added the green text, and then a quick little button that opens up ChatGPT. So if you all want to practice or yeah, do this with me as I do it, you can do it there. So hopefully this will be a little bit more manageable for folks. Sorry for that long scroll. Um, so yeah, this is AI for personalized learning paths. And the goal for this session is to design equitable AI-supported learning, personalized learning paths with multiple routes to mastery. I just posted something about this the other day on my LinkedIn about how um, personalized learning paths are one of the things that you can do with AI that before AI was almost impossible because there's just everybody's coming from all different kinds of backgrounds and different starting places. Um, and we've tried to do the best that we can, right? Giving extra help to students that need a little bit more, and then maybe giving extra work, extra challenge to the people who already understand the material, and then trying to trying to teach to the middle. With the personalized learning paths, you give more agency to the learner, the student, to choose where they feel like they're at, and then giving them a path to follow that is right for their level. And so we are going to, should be how we're doing it, create adaptive content at multiple readiness levels. We're going to design flexible learning pathways with real student choice. And then by doing this, we'll embed equity and accessibility safeguards from the start. Okay, so the reality here for the listen, ChatGPT can generate adaptive content pathways and equity checks in minutes. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll at least give you something to work with or something to work from. Speaking of multiple learning paths, I'm going to give you all a chance here to go through these at your own pace. So you can go through the slides here. You can watch the video summary. You can watch the podcast or listen to the podcast. Or if you'd like to explore one of these articles, you can pick one of those and go through that as well. And so there's a bunch of content here for you to consume. What I'm going to do, which I didn't do, I haven't been doing this, but I figure since we instead of just having me not say anything, uh, and just having a silent room, I'm going to run the podcast for the people who are watching the recording later. Okay. So if you want to stay in the main room and listen to podcast, you are welcome to do that. But if you are not interested in that, then I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. So you can, I'm going to call it the study room. So what's the study room or the quiet space. So you can go in here and listen to it on, your own. If you want to watch the video, you can listen to it through your own headphones. Um, and then what we're gonna do, oh yeah, sure. Sorry about that. The link here in the chat. Hopefully everybody can access that. I'm gonna open the room. You all are welcome to join that room. We're gonna go for, let's see, I'm gonna probably do time and a half on this podcast. So that'll be 15 minutes. So 15 minutes, consume the content any way you'd like. When you come back, I want to know key takeaways. So before I was asking which one you were using, I want at least one key takeaway that you got from whatever you chose. So if you chose to read the article. What's the key takeaway from the article? If you chose the video summary or the slides or any other combination, we just want to get the tangible out of it, okay? Is everybody aware of what's going on? Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Check the chat real quick. No questions. Thank you, Anne Marie. So, without further ado, I'm going to start the podcast. Let me make sure that my sound is getting shared. Thanks for the thumbs up. And then, yeah, like I said, if you don't want to listen to the podcast at time and a half, you can go ahead and hop into the breakout room that is meant to be the quiet space for you to study. So,
welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are opening up
double speed. That's my normal. Okay, we'll try time and a half and see if it's okay. Once again, if the is too much for you, then join the quiet space.
file that, I mean, honestly, this might be one of the most ambitious things we've looked at in a while. We're looking at this set of training materials, and they're just labeled Session 7.2.
Which sounds incredibly dry.
It really does. Like Session 7.2, it sounds like a software update for your printer or something.
Right.
But the real title is AI for Equitable Personalized Learning Paths. And on the surface, okay, that sounds like a lot of ed tech jargon.
Sure.
But when you actually read the mission briefing in these slides, this thing is trying to solve the holy grail problem of education.
The holy grail being, how do you treat 30 students in a room like 30 individual human beings?
Exactly. The absolute dream scenario. Every parent wants it. Every teacher wants it. You know, a classroom where student A is getting exactly the challenge they need, student B is getting the support they need.
And nobody's bored and nobody's crying.
Yes. But historically, that's just been a logistical impossibility.
Right. It's a math problem. If you have one teacher and 30 kids, and you want to give each of them 30 distinct high-quality learning paths every single day,
Yeah.
that's not teaching.
Right.
That's a fast track to burnout.
It's physically impossible.
It is. You simply cannot scale that kind of personalization manually. You can't write enough curriculum in a 24-hour day.
Until now, or at least that's the pitch here. The source material claims that AI basically solves the labor problem. It says we can now generate adaptive content, multiple learning pathways, and even equity checks in, what, minutes?
And that's where we have to pause, because the source material, specifically in that mission briefing, it starts with a massive warning label.
Yeah.
It doesn't just say, here's the cool tool. It says, here's the danger.
I saw that. I was ready to high-five the computer screen about the efficiency, and then I hit the inventory check slide.
It's the pumping the brakes moment.
Yeah.
The core argument here is that speed does not equal fairness. Just because you can personalize learning for 1,000 kids instantly doesn't mean you're doing it right, right?
In fact, if you do it carelessly, AI doesn't just fail. It automates inequality. It just scales up the bad habits we already have.
So that's the real tension of this deep dive. We're looking at a framework that promises to fix the old one-size-fits-all model of education.
But we're also looking at the safety manual to prevent it from becoming like a high-tech segregation machine.
Exactly. We're exploring how to design multiple routes to mastery without accidentally creating a digital version of tracking.
Okay, let's define that term before we go any further. Tracking.
Yeah, good idea. We aren't talking about Amazon knowing I bought dog food yesterday.
No, not at all. In an educational context, tracking is a very specific structural concept. Historically, it means separating students by academic ability into rigid groups.
The different reading groups.
Exactly. You have the honors track, the general track, and the remedial track. And the problem wasn't just the separation. It was that once you were on that lower track, it was almost impossible to get off. You were labeled. Right. It's the smart kid versus slow kid distinction,
Yep.
but formalized right into the schedule.
And the fear is that AI could make that labeling invisible and permanent.
How so?
You wouldn't. That's the insidious part.
Yeah.
So this session 7.2 isn't just a tutorial on how to use an AI to write a quiz. It's a whole protocol for avoiding that trap.
Okay, let's start with the promise stuff, section 1. Why even bother? If this is so risky, why hand this over to an algorithm at all?
Well, slide 5 in the materials really breaks down the why, and it goes beyond just saving time. The first point is engagement.
Makes sense.
When learning is relevant to you, you care more. If I love sports and you love history and we can both learn statistics through those lenses, we're both going to learn it better.
Sure. Customization makes it sticky.
But the second point is the real key here. Supporting diverse learners without lowering the bar.
That phrase, lowering the bar, it appears a few times. That seems to be the main anxiety.
It is the central tension. Usually when we try to help a struggling student, we simplify the content. We make it easier. We reduce the rigor.
We give them the light version of the education.
Right. We say, oh, this paragraph is too hard. Just read this one sentence instead. But the aha moment in this framework is that personalization should be about access, not dilution.
Access, not dilution.
It allows you to expand access to the concept without diluting the standard.
So everyone still has to climb the same mountain, but they might take different trails to get to the summit.
That is the perfect analogy. One trail might be steep and direct for the kid who's ready to sprint. Another might have switchbacks and handrails for the kid who needs more support.
But they both end up at the same peak.
They both get to the peak. And before AI, building those different trails, clearing the brush, laying the stones, that took forever. Now we have what the source calls an AI accelerator.
Which brings us to section 2, the mechanics. How does this actually work? Because I think a lot of people imagine you just type into an AI, make me a personalized lesson.
And the source says, absolutely do not do that. That's how you get generic garbage. Slide 6 outlines a very specific architecture. The AI is used to generate 3 specific versions of the content. at the same time.
What are they?
Foundational, standard, and advanced.
Okay, hold on. You just said foundational and advanced. That sounds exactly like the tracking we just warned against. You know, smart kids go here, slow kids go here.
It does sound like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. How is this different from the 1950s model?
It's the nuance, and the source is very aggressive about this. These aren't permanent labels for the student. They are readiness levels for the topic.
Oh, so just because I'm on the foundational path for this week's topic doesn't mean I'm there next week.
Exactly. And more importantly, the AI also generates multimodal formats for all of them. It's not just about text difficulty.
Multimodal. So that's education speak for different types of media, right?
Right. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, reading, writing.
Ah.
So let's play this out with a real example. Let's say you're teaching the causes of World War I.
Okay. A light topic, lots of moving parts.
A lot. The standard path might be a text-based article and a primary source document. Standard history class stuff.
Sure.
But for the foundational path, the AI doesn't just give a shorter article. It might generate a graphic organizer that visually maps the alliances. France connects to Russia, Germany to Austria-Hungary.
So you should see the tension.
You can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might generate a script for a short podcast explaining the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand for an auditory learner.
So it's not dumbing it down, it's opening it up.
That's it, exactly. And the advanced path. The AI might generate a counterfactual prompt like, what if the assassination failed? Write a diplomatic cable predicting what happens next.
Wow. So the AI is creating all these assets like instantly. And the apply prompt structure in the source material, I found this part really useful. It actually gives you the formula.
Yes. The prompt engineering is key. You don't just ask for a lesson. You have to input three things: the topic, the learning objective, and the student context.
The student context part seems tricky. What are we actually telling the AI?
You're defining barriers and strengths. For example, you might say, I have students who struggle with academic vocabulary but have really high critical thinking skills.
Or, my students are visual learners, but they struggle with big blocks of text.
Exactly. And in return, the AI outputs a personalized learning framework. This includes diagnostics to see where a student should start, so you're not just guessing, and checkpoints to see how they're doing.
I was looking at my notes here, and honestly, I had the same reaction. The idea that you can create a foundational version with clear scaffolding like extra definition or step-by-step guides, and at the same time generate an advanced version that asks for these real-world transfer tasks.
Yeah.
Doing that by hand would take me a week.
It shifts the teacher's role entirely. You stop being the content writer and you start being the designer. But, and this is the big transition, that efficiency brings us right into the danger zone.
Section 3, the danger zone. The source has a slide called inventory check and another on human oversight. We touched on tracking, but let's go deeper. Why is AI specifically bad in this, if we aren't careful?
Because an AI is a pattern matching machine. And historically, our educational data has a lot of bad patterns in it. The biggest risk is what the source calls hidden tracking.
How is it hidden?
Well, think about the old way. A teacher stands up in class and says, blue group, you go to the corner and read the picture book. Red group, you stay here and discuss the novel.
Everyone sees it.
Everyone sees it. It's social. You know where you stand. It might be stigmatizing, but it's visible.
Right.
But if an algorithm decides student A gets the simple text and student B gets the complex project, and that all just happens on a screen, it's invisible. The student might not realize they're being fed a diet of simple tasks.
And the teacher might not notice either if they aren't looking very closely at the right dashboard.
Exactly. And if the AI has bias, which we know it can, it might consistently route certain demographics of students to that foundational path based on context that is actually just a stereotype.
That is terrifying because the machine gives it this veneer of objectivity. The computer said you need the foundational path.
Oh, it gets worse. The source warns about remedial labeling. This is where the foundational path isn't a scaffold to help you climb up. It just becomes a place where you do busy work.
The death by worksheet phenomenon.
Yes. Unequal rigor.
Yeah.
If the student on the foundational path isn't being challenged to think critically, they aren't actually learning the same thing. They're just being kept busy, while the advanced students actually learn.
And then there are barriers to switching.
Right. If the system makes it hard to move from foundational to standard, once you've mastered the basics, you are trapped. You're in the slow lane forever.
The source material has this great line here. AI supports design efficiency, not instructional judgment.
That is the golden rule. The AI can build the paths, but a human has to walk them first to make sure they're safe.
So how do we do that? This brings us to section 4, designing for equity. The source lists a mission checklist on slide 12. These are the safeguards.
Think of these as the non-negotiables. If you use AI for this, you must have these three things in place.
Okay, safeguard number 1, identical objectives.
This goes right back to the mountain analogy. Whether a student is on the foundational path or the advanced path, they have to arrive at the same destination. You cannot dumb down the goal.
So if the goal is analyze the geopolitical causes of World War I, the foundational path might use simpler language or more videos to explain the alliances.
But the students still have to explain the geopolitical causes at the end. They don't get a pass to just memorize dates while the advanced group discusses politics. Everyone discusses politics. They just get there via different vehicles.
Got it. Safeguard number 2, fluidity, or as it says, pathway switching without penalty.
This is the antidote to tracking. Tracking is static. Pathways must be dynamic. Just because I need help with history doesn't mean I need help with math.
Or even more granular than that, just because I need help with fractions doesn't mean I need help with geometry.
Exactly. I might be a visual genius but struggle with text. So for a geometry unit, I might be on the advanced path because it's so visual. But for a word problem unit, I might drop down to foundational to get some scaffolding on the vocabulary.
And the system has to allow that bounce back. It can't look at my record and say, well, you were foundational last week, so you say foundational.
It has to encourage the switch. The source says you need switching rules. When a student proves mastery on the foundational path, the next module should automatically bump them up. It should be aspirational.
Okay, safeguard number 3 is collaboration. The source explicitly requires cross-pathway peer interaction.
This is fascinating because usually personalized learning isolates kids. It's just you and your screen. The safeguard says, no, you have to bring them back together.
So you don't just stick all the foundational kids in a corner together.
Never. That creates silos. You want diverse strengths.
Yeah.
Maybe the student on the advanced path has done deep research, but the student on the foundational path has a great grasp of the core visual concepts because they use a graphic organizer.
So when they work together on a project, they both learn more.
Right. The AI framework has to prompt for that collaboration.
Now, I want to get to the part of the source material that just blew my mind. It's in the Explore 2 section. I'm calling it the AI checking AI trick.
Oh, this is the nugget right here. If you take one thing away from this deep dive, take this.
Walk us through it.
So you've used the AI to build your 3 pathways. You have your lesson plan. Usually, this is where people stop. They copy, paste, and go teach.
Sure.
But the source suggests a second step. You feed that entire plan back into the AI,
But with a new prompt.
a new persona. You tell the AI, act as an equity auditor.
An equity auditor. I love that.
You literally prompt it. Evaluate this framework for hidden ability grouping, unequal rigor, or accessibility gaps. Be critical.
That is so meta. You're using the machine to police itself.
And it works incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
The AI is surprisingly good at critiquing its own output if you give it the right criteria. It might come back and say, warning, the foundational activity is just a fill-in-the-blank worksheet, while the advanced activity is a creative debate. That's an equity gap.
Wow. It catches the unequal rigor we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It helps you see your own blind spots. It turns the AI from just a generator into a validator.
That is a pro tip for anyone using AI, honestly, not just teachers.
Absolutely.
If you use AI to write an email or a report, ask it to critique it for you before you send it.
Act as a critic is one of the most powerful prompts you can use.
So we've got the safeguards, we've got the AI checking itself, but we still have the human in the loop. Section 5 is about the human element.
This is the reflect section. Because if AI is writing the content, the instructor's job changes. Fundamentally.
The source says the teacher becomes the architect of equity.
Which is a much cooler job title than lesson planner.
It really is. But practically, what does an architect of equity do all day if they aren't writing quizzes?
They're analyzing data. The source emphasizes that your energy shifts. Instead of spending 3 hours writing 3 different worksheets, you spend those 3 hours analyzing your students' needs and refining the pathways.
So you're looking at the dashboard.
Exactly. Who's stuck? Who's breezing through? Do I need to adjust the switching rules? You become a facilitator of the system, not just a broadcaster of information.
There are these reflection questions in the material like, how does designing pathways shift your understanding of student diversity?
And what complexities emerged?
Right.
Those questions are there to force the educator to slow down, because it's easy to get swept up in the magic of the tool. The reflection ensures you're actually thinking about the people in the room.
It mentions a gamified element too, assigning yourself XP or experience points.
Yeah, the mission debrief. You give yourself XP based on evidence of rigorous design. It's a little meta game for the teachers, but the point is to emphasize that design is a skill. It's not just about using the tool, it's about using it well.
And part of using it well is not doing it alone, the network requirement in the source.
Right. Sharing the package. Collective refinement. If I build a great framework for teaching thermodynamics and you look at it and spot a flaw in my accessibility safeguards, we both get better.
It pushes back against the isolation.
It does. AI can isolate us if we aren't careful, just us and our screens. This requirement forces that community aspect back in. We need humans checking machines.
It's funny, we started this whole thing talking about how impossible personalization used to be, and now looking at the source material, it feels inevitable.
It feels accessible. That's the word. It puts the holy grail within reach. But, and this is a big but, it requires a much higher level of intentionality from the humans involved. The tool is powerful, but it's blind. It needs a guide.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Whether you're a teacher, a corporate trainer, or just someone managing a team.
The key takeaway, and this is straight from slide 15, is this. Genuine personalized learning combines AI efficiency with human equity-centered design. Equity isn't an add-on. You don't build the course and then sprinkle some fairness on top. It has to be a structural requirement.
And if you're listening to this thinking, well, I don't teach a class, I challenge you to look at how you manage your team or even your own learning.
Absolutely. Are you creating rigid tracks for the people around you? He's the numbers guy, so he never gets to do strategy. Or she's the creative one, so she never touches the budget.
That's tracking.
That is absolutely tracking. Are you creating flexible pathways where people can switch lanes, get scaffolding when they need it, and access advanced challenges when they're ready? Because if you aren't, you're leaving talent on the table.
That's the call to action. Stop tracking, start pathfinding.
And verify the rigor. Always verify the rigor.
I want to leave everyone with one last thought today. The sources briefly mention how all of this might reshape higher education, and it really got me thinking. If AI allows us to perfectly personalize the pace and the path of learning, if one student can finish a course in 3 weeks because they're on an accelerated path and another takes 15 weeks because they needed the foundational support,
then what's a semester?
Does the concept of a semester even make sense anymore? Or a grade level?
Right.
Are we just clinging to these industrial era timelines, freshman, sophomore, fall semester, spring semester, because we used to need them to organize mass education? We needed everyone to move at the same speed because the teacher could only lecture at one speed.
It was a factory model. The conveyor belt moves at one speed for everyone.
But if the AI solves the speed problem, if the conveyor belt is now personal to you, maybe we don't need the calendar anymore. Maybe you don't fail a semester, you just haven't finished the path yet.
That is a massive disruption to think about. If time becomes a variable, then learning can be the constant. Right now, time is constant and learning is variable. Some kids learn it, some don't, but the bell rings anyway.
Flipping that equation changes everything.
It really does.
Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
Oh, let me turn my mute off. All right, everybody, welcome back. Key takeaways. We gave everybody their own pathway to consume this content. Derek, I see you hopping on video. Did you want to share?
Sure. What the approach that I've been taking for the past couple weeks, where you give us this time to choose our pathway, I usually look through the slides and then through the video summary, and they're both created using Notebook LM, and usually fair amount of alignment. And this week, I it seems like I got more out of the video,
Mm,
and I felt like the video was better organized, I guess.
mm,
And I would assume that I don't know, but I would assume since it's the same AI that you're feeding like the same prompt information to create
hmm.
both of those, right?
Yeah, let me see. I'll show you guys a little bit of behind the scenes here of what I've got going on with my notebook LM. Um, let's see which one I really need to label these better. Uh, let me find it while we're talking. I don't want
That's
to
yeah.
hog up the
But
screen,
in
but
terms
yeah.
of like, so I found that interesting because normally like the slides and the video seem to be like fairly well aligned. Um, and yeah, I agree, Dean just put in the chat that he likes the thought of using it as a design accelerator because like when I think about this, if I were to create slides, a video and a podcast like you've done, that would
Mhm.
be over a day of work.
Yeah, definitely. I've done that before. It's,
And whereas this, like you said, it's faster. Now we've seen where like in terms of accessibility, there's some things that you have to overcome there, but it's still faster than creating the slides on your own, right?
Mhm.
But I actually put the video back on. So it supports design efficiency, not instructional judgment. So it does
Mm,
accelerate the design process, but you still have to, as the instructor, you're the subject matter expert. You still have to go in and check it, right? In case it
mhm,
hallucinates, or in the case of like something like accessibility, which AI isn't in some cases isn't there yet, we still have
mm,
to think as an instructor, is this accessible for students?
right.
So that was my one of the key takeaways for me.
Yeah. So if I were to just kind of summarize from my understanding, it's okay to use these tools to help create these paths, but you have to go in and, kind of double check to make sure that the people on the lower path are learning what they need to learn in the middle path and the higher path, and that it's accessible for everybody. Nice. Thanks for sharing. Does anybody else want to share any key takeaways?
I don't know if it's a takeaway, but it's a question I had after listening to the video. And I also got more out of the video this time than the slides. I think the slides were too busy visually for me, too many
Okay.
colors and too many boxes and just too much stuff.
Yeah.
So I started there and I was like, no, I just couldn't do that. So I skipped down to the video. And then I listened to it all the way through. And the question I had is I don't remember hearing anything about like how to train AI to do the equity check. I think there was a big assumption there that AI understands what equity is or what
Mm,
inclusion is. So what are those parameters? Maybe I missed that. Um, and maybe it's in your prompt or your directions, but I think if it
mhm,
was me doing it, I would have started with here's all the things. This is what it means. What does it mean to you? Let's correct,
mhm,
that kind of giving it some experience and background in that. And then my other question was, what if the teacher doesn't know? I mean, I think it's awesome we're relying on humans, but humans are fallible, right? We make mistakes. We don't always do things right. Is it really equitable? I don't know. Maybe we need one more check in there where we take it to a colleague and ask for some input.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Like,
Peer
just a
review.
little more human collaboration, maybe just take it one step further to make sure that we're not biased in our own
Yeah.
opinion. I mean, we're checking to make sure the AI isn't biased, but it's only going to be as unbiased as what it finds and how we
Hmm.
respond to it. And then there's our own personal biases that we bring. And then I think it'd be good to have a check on the human too.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah, you know what? That brings up a good point. When I think I've probably brought this up in here before, but we gave a speech at Encore where there were a bunch of prompts that you could copy and paste into whatever you type, like whatever conversation you're having, you can just copy these prompts in there, and then it will this is a bias detection prompt, this is a fact checking and source verification, alternative perspectives. So these are our prompts. I'm wondering, because I've also been like getting into GPTs more recently, as I go through these processes that are like, okay, I have to do this again. I have to do this again. It needs to be in this format. Um, I'm sure there's one out there, but like, what would be the best way to call this? Like bias checker or, um, accessibility, I guess an accessibility checker. There's tons of those out there, but like something where it's trained off of these questions, and then
Mm.
you just pop it into the GPT, pop your assignment in there, and then it goes through and it double checks, asks all these questions, and then kind of gives you a little report on things that you can change or update to maybe make it more equitable. Um, I'll think about that. I'll think about trying to get that in here, so that people can explore with that. And I mean, if that's where we want to take this lesson today, we can also try to do that. But yeah, so to answer your first question, I think this was what the video was talking about, was the testing the flexibility and verifying the equity. And then so once we do this one, then we put this one in. So it's kind of similar to what I just showed you, but um it's just hitting these ones: hidden ability, grouping and tracking language, unequal rigor, barriers to switching paths. One of the quotes I wrote down from the chat or from the podcast was access without delusion, where you're giving them, access to all the pathways, but you're not diluting the material like so much so that the person who's on the lower pathway, maybe they need extra help, extra explanation, but they're still everybody gets to the same place in the end, right? And so I think there was an image from here. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I was experimenting with this slide, so I took your feedback, Alyssa. I'll try to make it a little bit more design friendly, but I just wanted to try this
Oh
idea.
no, I mean, it's interesting. It's just not, I can't get past personally because I get distracted easily. So I
Okay.
can't get past like the extra stuff that's
The
there.
like system log O2 status I tried to get rid of that. It was like
Yeah, and some
it
of
still
it, a
wants to
little
be
bit,
there.
is maybe the font, and
Oh,
maybe
okay.
it's the color on a black background.
Okay.
I think maybe too there needs maybe a little more spacing for me. I mean, there's a lot of little things in there where I think previous slide decks I've not noticed that before. This is the
Okay.
first one with this design, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is the first one
Yeah.
I'm testing
Yeah.
out.
So it's well done. It's just not I my eyes just can't learn from it.
Well,
I think I
that's
like the
important.
white
That's important
backgrounds.
feedback because we want to
Yeah,
make
but
sure this is
everybody's
it's
different.
accessible to everyone. So
Everybody's different. Maybe somebody else loves dark backgrounds and
let's
really,
see what Derek
I
says.
don't
What
know.
do you got?
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, you bring up a good point though, Alyssa, that like, yeah, it doesn't work for everyone, and that's the point of having options, right? Like, we had another option that we could go to, and that's sort of, I think, what this is getting after. Um, and you mentioned like, after use AI to create all this, and sure, the AI can do the equity check, but having someone else check it. But you just did, students can check it as well. Like, it doesn't have to be another colleague, right? I know students that I because I'm open, or I tell them like, if something's not working, you let me know, right? Like, when you're open to that feedback, students feel comfortable with providing that feedback and providing in real time, not waiting until the end of course survey type of thing.
Mm.
So you just did that for Ronald, um, where he can kind of,
The slides will be different next week, so
yes. And
I'll
then I
refine it a little
also
bit more.
I saw Wendy put in the chat about like with a science course, and I was thinking the same thing. Like, I think personalizing content in a science course could be difficult, especially in terms of ensuring they end up in the same place, at least for some things. But I'm thinking like in my courses, and Wendy, I think you probably do the same thing. I provide the PowerPoint slides
Mm.
that I use in class, and I also from COVID times, I have the lecture recordings. And Wendy, from what I've heard, at least
Oh.
for the Bio 160 class, I think you're doing the same thing. Like the slides are there and the recordings are there. And then sometimes I also add like YouTube videos to supplement as well. Um, so that's all, I think that's falling under this. So just providing multiple ways that students can consume the data while also emphasizing like, hey, it's the lecture content. Like if you watch the YouTube videos and then don't pay attention to the lectures, you might miss something. So
Mm.
yeah, just wanted to
Yeah.
add that for Wendy so that because I think she's doing some of the stuff like this. Maybe not using the AI, right? We created it the long and hard way. But yeah, it is
Yeah, I did
doable
it
enough
the
for
hard
her.
way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I did too.
Mm.
But I've seen it pay dividends because students have
Yeah.
said, I go and watch your lecture recordings that you have posted, even though I was in class and listened to the lecture. I go and watch it again. So,
Yeah. I'll do that sometimes too, where it's like if the lecture is available, I'll put it on my phone. So like while I'm driving, I can like listen to it and kind of get it that way or vacuuming or something like that. Um so that's great. I'm I don't know the right word. Impressed. Happy to hear that you all do that, that you have your the recordings for your students because yeah, some people just need a little extra um information and many people like it in a lot of different ways. So, okay. Um, Wendy, if you have a chance to get an assignment that you said, because in the chat, I'll just go ahead and read it for the people who aren't here. Seems a bit overwhelming to personalize the content so much for students in a science course and to be able to make sure they end up in the same place. I could see it with a few assignments, but there are some where I just don't see it being workable. And maybe that's the case. Maybe there is one, maybe there are things, core concepts that just have to be taught in this way. You have to show them, in person how it works or, whatever way you think that, it can't be personalized, or maybe it's not worth the time to do it that way. But you'll be surprised. We're gonna try this prompt out here and see if it has any value for anybody to use as a way to create these personalized paths. Also, anybody else who has an assignment that you think, I wonder what this would look like if it were split up into three different versions with the equal rigor. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to build a personalized learning framework, create some adaptive content for one of your course topics. So we're going to select the topic or skill from the course, choose the learning preference to support, and then review outputs for equal rigor and clarity. And the prompt we're going to use is right here. I'll put it into the chat. Anybody wants to grab that. There's a couple things to fill in. And if nobody's got an assignment to try, then I will choose one myself. I'm helping somebody right now with their math course. I created speaking of creating GPTs. This is called the Canvas Quiz Architect. And what it does is if you input a topic, so like for example, if let's say you're teaching addition, this person is doing ABE math. And so you can copy this page and pop it into here. And maybe with a little coaxing. Okay, let's see here. Before I generate your 30-question Canvas ready quiz, I need a few clarifications. I'm just gonna say, I trust you. Make reasonable assumptions and output as a CSV file. And so once this is a little different. I'm going off on a tangent, but I just want to show you all this tool in case you are interested in using it in your own class. Um, it's going to analyze that, and it's going to hopefully put it out as a CSV file. Now, once I get the CSV file, I've got this workflow here from John Hopkins, where you take the CSV file and then you go over to K-State. So this is a lot of steps, but y'all know what it's like to make new quizzes and input all the quiz questions and multiple choice, all the other things. Um, let's see how this is working. Okay, so it's gonna it download this CSV. I click on that one. I can upload this CSV into here, perform a conversion. It's going to turn it into a zip file. Let me find a course where I don't got anything going on. So then let's say I come into my tech course. I go to settings and import course content. I can import, let's see here. Oh, down here at the bottom, QTI zip file. So it saved it as a QTI file, or it's a zip file. There's a QTI file within it. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it works, but we're gonna hopefully that works. Okay, and then I'm gonna add it to the import queue, and we'll see what happens. But if everything works correctly, then I'll click over here to quizzes, and then it will be um, a 30 question quiz. Oh, we got some issues. Oh, didn't work as well. Last time I did it, it worked well, but there may be some kinks. Let me see what it does come up with. Oh, okay. I mean, it's not bad. So y'all saw that though. Do you see how long that took me to make this 30 question quiz? I mean, obviously I got to go and double check, especially if there were some errors, but I just I just copy and pasted this and then did a bunch of other uploading and loading, but like think about how much time it would take to go question by question to put this together. So, okay, let's go back. Let's get back on topic here. So, okay, I'm gonna use that. The reason I was bringing that one up as well is because I was gonna use that for this. Because how do you make three content versions for addition? Well, I guess you would just change the type of question. But let's see what it comes up with. So, you close out of all of this stuff. Okay, we're gonna access ChatGPT. We are going to copy this. And we're going to paste it in here. And it says, create an equitable personalized learning framework for ABE addition. Let's see what we need for the learning outcome. I'm just going to go and see if it's from here, if there's anything. Okay, here's the purpose. Learning objectives. I'm going to copy these. Okay. Student context, diversity, strength, needs, barriers. Um, these are ABE students, and many are ESL. So keep the language at a lower level. Okay, and then what's going to do, it's going to give me 3 content versions, multiple options, at least 4 flexible. And I'm actually going to paste the whole assignment in here. And I'll say, here is the assignment. Okay, below is a structured, equitable, personalized learning framework for ABE Edition. Language is intentionally simple and clear for ESL learners. All students work towards the same objective and complete this same performance check at the end. Okay, everybody has the same learning objective. Entry point, self-assessment, 10 minutes. Students complete a short check independently. So this would be a short little 5-question quiz. Maybe they do it on paper, maybe they'll do it, you'll have a quiz set up in Canvas. Teacher will be able to review it quickly and see where they are. And then, okay, here we go. These are the 3 content versions. So foundational version for students who want step-by-step structure, color-coded place value charts, visual models, slower pacing, sentence frames for word problems, guided examples with partially completed steps. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. So an example here, if you have a place value chart, you have to write down, right? What's the hundreds place? What's the tens place? What's the ones place? Decimal grid paper for money problems. Yep, that's good. And then some language supports to name the steps. Students still solve the multi-step problems, so the rigor is remaining the same. Standard version, vertical stacking, word problems connected to work and life, estimation practice before solving, peer discussion prompts. So less visual scaffolding. And then the advanced, I mean, with math, just larger numbers, multi-step workplace scenarios, missing number problems, and error analysis. That's pretty cool. So making the questions a little bit harder for that group. Multiple learning formats. So each pathway includes all 4 learning modes. So everyone gets a little bit of visual, a little bit of audio. What's the kinesthetic? Board work, rotation, money role play. I guess maybe they'll get up and exchange fictional money. And then there's reading and writing. Um, Students may move between pathways at any time. Oh, this looks pretty cool. Watch the mini lesson, use the place value charts, complete the problems, check with teacher. And then here are the checkpoints. So place value accuracy. Student correctly aligns and adds 3 whole number problems. I think these are related to by the end of the lessons. Okay, that's good. Okay, here we go. Students may switch pathways anytime without asking permission. No pathway is labeled as high or low. All pathways lead to the same exit. Switching does not affect the grade. That's pretty good. I do this with my tech literacy class. If something like too complicated for the student, um, I teach the upper level. I suggest go down to the lower level. Collaboration across the pathways. Oh yeah, this is what they were talking about in the podcast, where another way to bring the human into the loop is you've got people on different pathways. You have them talk about what they experienced on each pathway. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like the collaborative option. Okay, let me see here. No group is named by level. Students self-select. Visually similar. Same learning objective, same exit ticket. Move between. Language supports, visual supports. Extra time without penalty. Calculators allowed for checking. Nice. Shared exit performance. Okay, and then it gives me a lesson flow. Now, that's pretty good. I like that. Now I'm gonna look here. So that's the first one. That's the, here's the idea. I want some pathways. Here are some things to consider. Now we're gonna have the AI check itself. So as Alyssa mentioned earlier, maybe it'll do a good job, maybe it won't. Let's see what the steps here. Review your framework for hidden tracking or stigma. Check that all versions maintain equal academic rigor. Verify students can switch. I mean, I read all those things. So let's just see what this says. So I'm gonna put this one in there, and then I'm gonna say the framework is above, right? Because we're just adding this right after it. Actually, I'm just gonna take that out because the context is already there. All right, and let's see what this does. Below is an equity audit of the personalized learning framework you drafted. Overall, it's strong. Most of the risk is not what you intend, but in what students will experience if the system is not carefully designed. Okay, so equity risk, even without labels, the structure still creates a soft track. So foundational for students who want step by step, advanced for students who are ready for the challenge.
그래서
Whoa, hold on.
또 가격이라는 것도
What's
보여줍니다.
happening?
자, 이 가격 크기는 얼마일까요?
No, no, stop. No, 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 don't turn that off. I need that.
어떤 소용이었죠? 바로 한자에서 시작되는
Oh, sorry. I think my wife stole my speaker. Hold on. Just wait. Okay, I'm just gonna keep reading through this. Unequal rigor between versions. What did you do well? Rigor remains the same. All students demonstrate. In practice, the foundation version includes smaller numbers. Oh, so it is checking itself here. It's saying that the rigor remains the same, but the foundation has smaller numbers and partially completed stuff. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of the purpose of having that level, is for a little extra. Let's see. So even though the exit ticket is the same, the learning experience is not equally rigorous. Okay. Let's see what the fix would do. So to fix it, put error analysis in all versions. Find the mistake, find the mistake, find the mistake. I like that. That's actually going to be a real big skill, is find uh what's not right, or find what was made with AI and what wasn't made with AI. It's going to be a big skill in the future. Put multi-step reasoning in all versions. Foundational can still do multi-step problems with fewer words and visuals and sentence frames. Okay. Ensure each version includes a whole regrouping. Okay, and then just making sure each one has the same kind of problems. Oh, this one's saying about if you go to a different thing, to a different table, if you switch paths. But it's okay. I think if you really just say to your students, like, it's okay to switch a path, it doesn't matter. Just go to whatever feels right for you. Follow whatever path feels right. Most collaboration is described in pathway 3. So I think what's happening is it's conflating pathway with like the activity stations, and that might be something that the original prompt didn't do right. Rules for switching pathways. Because up here, let's see if I can get to this quickly. It was saying, okay, these are the multiple formats. And so here it's saying 4 flexible learning pathways. Is anybody else understanding this differently? Here it's talking about oh, this is the foundational version. This is not the pathway. These are the content versions. Got it. Okay. I was confused. So these are the pathways and then the different versions of the content. So depending on, where you're going, which pathway you go, there'll be the foundational one, the standard version, and then the advanced one. So this is at least something to start with. If you're thinking about maybe including multiple pathways in your class. Um, this one way to do it, you know, giving them different kinds of content to, consume on their own is another way to do it. I gave y'all, you can cruise through this slide deck, you can listen to the audio, you can watch the video, you can read the articles down there. So let me go over this real quick because I don't think I've ever gotten to this stage. Usually I'm overtime in the Explore. So
I don't know if it's a issue for anyone else, but I think you were scrolling down on ChatGPT and on Zoom it wasn't like following you. And if you switched to a different tab,
uh-huh.
so yeah, I don't know if
Hold on. I think I might have paused the sharing
ah
when I was trying to figure out what was happening to my sound.
yeah, there we go. We're good we're back. We're back again.
Sorry about that.
That's
Okay, just real quick here. I know we're at the top of the hour, so if you need to leave, you can go. But just for anybody who wants to stick around to know about the second part of this lesson, a one complete, ready to implement personalized learning package for a single topic. So you probably just do the same thing that I just did. This is everything into one big prompt. Here's the criteria that you want to make sure you're checking off. The reflection questions are here. Um, and then for the network, you will just press reply here, copy your reflection from here, and then copy that learning package from the apply section. And then if you can, respond to another person's stuff to, let them know if it makes sense or not. Any other questions before we end today? Take no sound as no question. So we will continue. Well, can I ask y'all this? Is the format improved from before? Should I continue to reformat the lessons so that it's, a little bit more concise and put into these 2 pages as opposed to having a page for each? Because there's arguments for both. Like it's okay to have, each page is, you know, separated and structured, but if I condense the information, then I feel like it fits better, if we can flow through it like this. I feel like it's better. Nothing? All right. Well,
I think I understand both because we started off with the one that was sort of more separated.
okay.
And I understand this version where you're combining it a little bit because I understand the structure of the way you were doing it.
Oh, okay. You've already got
Um,
the context.
yeah, so I have the context. So I don't, you know, but I think it's clear enough in this version that people should be able to understand what they need to do.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was worried about that. I cut out a lot of stuff and I just wanted to make sure that everybody was clear on what was needing to be done. So thank you, Derek, for the feedback and for your participation today. Wendy, it was good to see you. David, always a pleasure. Alyssa, thank you. Dean and Meredith, nice to see you too. Have a
Thanks,
great
Ronald.
weekend. Happy Valentine's Day,
Oh, you too.
if you all celebrate that. See y'all next time.